You have been taught to pray to external gods. From the day you were born, you were trained to look outside yourself for the answers, for the validation, for the rescue. You were taught to wait for the teacher to call on you, for the boss to promote you, for the right person to come along and complete you, for the lottery ticket to hit, for some sign from the heavens to tell you that you are worthy, that it is your time to begin. You have spent a lifetime on your knees, your gaze fixed on the distant horizon, begging for a savior to descend from the clouds and solve the riddle of your own life. And your prayers have gone unanswered. The horizon remains empty. The silence is deafening. And you are still here in the same place, with the same quiet desperation gnawing at your soul. And you mistake the silence for a verdict. You believe the empty sky is a judgment, a sign that you are not chosen, that you are not destined for the greatness you secretly dream of. But you are wrong. The silence is not a verdict. It is a lesson. The empty sky is not a judgment. It is a mirror. The universe is not ignoring your prayers. It is trying to teach you the most fundamental truth of your existence. The power you are praying to is already inside you. You have been praying to a reflection. You have been looking for a key when the door has been unlocked the entire time. You have been waiting for a hero when you are the one you have been waiting for. The first and most difficult step on the path to a life of power and achievement is to stop looking out and to start looking in. It is the act of withdrawing your faith from the external world, from its opinions, its systems, its promises of salvation, and placing that faith, all of it, squarely in the untapped, unrecognized, and monumental power of your own being. It is the act of trusting your own strength. This is terrifying, because to trust your own strength means you have no one else to blame. It means the responsibility for your life, all of it, the victories and the defeats, the beauty and the ugliness, falls directly and heavily on your shoulders. It is so much easier to be a victim, to have a list of external forces to hold accountable for your lack of progress. The government, the economy, your upbringing, your boss. These are the flimsy scapegoats you use to protect yourself from the terrifying weight of your own agency. To trust your own strength is to voluntarily give up the comfort of those excuses. It is to stand naked in the face of reality and declare, "It's on me." All of it. From this day forward, my life is not a product of my circumstances. It is a product of my choices, my actions, and the strength of my own character. You have a well of strength inside you that you have not even begun to tap. You have a reservoir of resilience, of creativity, of courage that is so deep and so vast that it would stagger your imagination. You have spent your life sipping from a thimble at the edge of this ocean, complaining of thirst. You have been living off the shallow surface water of your potential, completely unaware of the powerful, deep currents that lie just beneath the surface of your conscious mind. The journey is not about finding strength. It is about excavating the strength that is already there. It is about drilling past the layers of self-doubt, fear, and conditioning that have been piled on top of your true nature. So stop praying for rain. You are the ocean. Stop waiting for a mountain to move. You're the earthquake. Stop looking for a hero to light the way. You are the fire. It is time to turn your gaze inward. It is time to begin the archaeological dig of your own soul. It is time to unearth the magnificent, sleeping giant of your own power. Trust it, and anything, and I mean anything, will become achievable. There's a giant sleeping inside you. It has been asleep for so long that you have forgotten it is there. You have built your entire life in the shadow of this slumbering behemoth, believing the shadow to be the totality of your existence. The person you know as you, your habits, your fears, your perceived limitations, that is not you. That is just the small, timid caretaker who lives in the giant's shadow, whose primary job is to ensure the giant is never, ever disturbed. Because you are terrified of what would happen if it were to wake up. The giant is your true strength. It is the full, magnificent, and terrifying scope of your potential. It is the part of you that is connected to something primal, something powerful, something infinite. It is the part of you that knows, on a cellular level, that you are capable of shattering any obstacle, of achieving any dream, of remaking your world in the image of your highest vision. The caretaker, your conscious ego, is afraid of this power because this power is wild. It is unpredictable. It cannot be controlled by the small, rational rules of the caretaker's world. If the giant were to wake up, it would destroy the comfortable, predictable, and mediocre life the caretaker has so carefully constructed. It would shatter the cage of your comfort zone. It would demolish the prison of your limiting beliefs. It would lay waste to the quiet, desperate compromises you have made to feel safe. And so the caretaker's primary function is to keep the giant asleep. It does this by feeding you a steady diet of doubt. It whispers lullabies of mediocrity. Don't try that, it's too risky. You're not good enough. Who do you think you are? Just be realistic. Be normal. Every one of these thoughts is a sleeping pill, a tranquilizer dart aimed at the heart of your own magnificence. The caretaker also keeps the giant asleep by creating distractions. The endless scroll, the binge-watching, the gossip, the petty dramas, these are all just noise. A sophisticated sound machine designed to drown out the faint, deep, rhythmic sound of the giant snoring, to keep you from ever suspecting that there is something more powerful sleeping just beneath the surface of your awareness. But you can feel it, can't you? In your quiet moments, you can feel the ground beneath you tremble. You can feel the faint stirrings of a power that you do not understand. That feeling of deep dissatisfaction with your life, that ache for something more, that is the giant stirring in its sleep. It is dreaming of its own strength, and its dreams are shaking the foundations of your small, caretaker world. To trust your own strength is to make the conscious and terrifying decision to wake the giant up. It is a declaration of war on the caretaker. It is the choice to stop feeding yourself the poison of self-doubt. It is the choice to turn off the noise and to start listening to the deep, slow heartbeat of your own potential. How do you wake it up? You do not wake a giant by whispering. You wake it up with a jolt. You wake it up by doing the thing that scares you. You wake it up by taking on a challenge that is far beyond your current, perceived capabilities. You wake it up by pushing your body, your mind, and your spirit to their absolute limits. The giant is awakened by adversity. It is awakened by struggle. It is awakened by the thrill of the hunt, by the heat of the battle. The comfortable, easy life is its sleeping potion. The difficult, challenging life is its alarm clock. When you choose the path of voluntary hardship, when you choose to lift the heavy weight, to make the difficult call, to face the terrifying rejection, you're sending an electric shock to the heart of that sleeping giant. And slowly, groggily, it will begin to open its eyes. At first, it will be disorienting. Its power will feel chaotic, overwhelming. You will not know how to wield it. But with each new challenge, with each new test, you will learn to integrate this magnificent strength into your being. The caretaker will not disappear, but its role will change. It will go from being the giant's jailer to being its humble and wise advisor. And you will finally become whole. You will become the giant, awake and aware, with the full scope of your power at your command. Stop living in the shadow. It is time to wake up. What is this strength you are being asked to trust? It is not a simple, one-dimensional force. It is a complex, multifaceted power that resides within you, waiting to be recognized and cultivated. Let's break it down so you know what you're looking for. First, there is the strength of resilience. This is the bedrock. This is the power that the universe respects above all others. Resilience is not the absence of failure. It is the ability to get back up after you have failed. It is the stubborn, glorious refusal to stay down. It is the spiritual muscle that is forged in the fires of your setbacks. You have been taught to fear failure, to see it as a final verdict on your worth. This is a lie. Failure is the training ground of resilience. Every time you're knocked down and you choose to rise again, you are adding another layer of steel to your spine. To trust your own strength is to trust that you have the capacity to endure any defeat, to learn from any mistake, and to come back stronger, wiser, and more determined than before. Next, there is the strength of integrity. This is the quiet, internal power that comes from being a person who keeps their word, especially the word they give to themselves. Every promise you make to yourself and keep, to wake up early, to eat the healthy meal, to finish the task, is a deposit into your account of self-trust. Every promise you break is a withdrawal. A person with a high balance of self-trust is a person of immense power. Their confidence is not a mood, it is earned reality. They know they can count on themselves. They're their own most reliable ally. To trust your own strength is to become a person of unshakable integrity, a person whose yes means yes and whose no means no, both to the world and to the weakest parts of themselves. Then there is the strength of vision. This is the creative power to see a future that does not yet exist and to hold that vision in your mind with such clarity and conviction that it begins to bend reality to its will. This is the strength of the architect, the artist, the leader. You have been taught to be a realist, to only believe in what you can see. But all great achievements, all progress, all innovation began as an act of pure imagination in the mind of a single individual who had the courage to believe in the unseen. To trust your own strength is to trust the power of your own vision. It is to protect that vision from the cynicism of the world and the doubt within your own mind, and to nurture it with your focus and your faith until it becomes a tangible reality. Finally, there is the strength of discipline. This is the power to do what you know you need to do, even when you do not feel like doing it. It is the engine that translates your vision into reality. Resilience gets you back in the game. Integrity ensures you can trust yourself to play it right. Vision gives you the direction. But discipline is the force that moves you down the field, yard by painful yard. It is the most practical and most powerful form of strength. It is the bridge between your goals and your accomplishments. To trust your own strength is to trust in your ability to be disciplined, to show up day after day, to do the boring, unglamorous, and difficult work that greatness requires. These are the four pillars of your inner power: resilience, integrity, vision, and discipline. They are not gifts you were born with. They are skills you can develop. They are muscles you can train. You train them not by thinking about them, but by using them. You build resilience by failing. You build integrity by keeping promises. You build vision by daring to dream. You build discipline by doing the work. This is the strength you are being asked to trust. It is not a vague, mystical force. It is a practical, tangible, and buildable power. Start building it today. There is a traitor in your midst, a saboteur who lives within the fortress of your own mind. This traitor has one mission, and one mission only: to convince you that your own strength is a lie. The name of this traitor is self-doubt, and it is the most insidious, most destructive force in your life. It is the poison that keeps the giant asleep. Self-doubt is a masterful storyteller. It takes a single, isolated incident of your past failure and weaves it into a grand, sweeping epic of your own incompetence. It takes a piece of criticism from another person and elevates it to the status of a divine and infallible judgment. It takes the natural fear of the unknown and twists it into a realistic assessment of your own inadequacy. And it tells you these stories in your own voice, with a tone of such authority and wisdom that you believe them without question. This is the betrayal. You are allowing the most frightened, most wounded, and most cowardly part of yourself to be your primary advisor. You are letting the prisoner design the security system for the entire fortress. You are taking strategic advice for your life's great battle from a confirmed deserter. To trust your own strength, you must first declare war on this inner traitor. You must stage a coup d'etat in the kingdom of your own mind. You must overthrow the government of fear and install a new government of courage and self-belief. This is not a gentle process. It is a ruthless and relentless campaign. The first act of war is to stop believing the stories. You must learn to treat your self-doubting thoughts as what they are, not as objective reports on reality, but as propaganda from an enemy agent. When the thought arises, "I can't do this," you must learn to see it not as a truth, but as a tactic designed to keep you small, safe, and weak. You must challenge it. You must interrogate it. Says who? Based on what evidence? What if I could? You must become a skeptical, cross-examining attorney in the courtroom of your own mind, and you must dismantle the traitor's flimsy case, piece by piece. The second act of war is to starve the traitor of its fuel. Self-doubt feeds on comparison. It feeds on the curated highlight reels of other people's lives on social media. It feeds on the consumption of negative news and cynical commentary. You must cut off its supply lines. You must be ruthless about what you allow into your mind. You must go on a strict information diet. Starve the doubt. Feed the faith. You must surround yourself with the evidence of what is possible, with the stories of those who have overcome their own inner traitors, with a wisdom that empowers and expands your sense of self. The third and most decisive act of war is to create a mountain of contrary evidence. The traitor's greatest weapon is your lack of proof. It can claim you are weak because you have not yet accumulated enough evidence of your strength. Your job is to make it a liar. You must go out into the world and create proof. You must do the hard thing. You must face the fear. You must keep the promise. Each time you act with courage, each time you choose discipline over comfort, you are bringing back a piece of evidence, a stone to add to the foundation of your self-belief. You are building a case for your own power that is so strong, so irrefutable, so overwhelming, that the traitor's whispers will eventually be drowned out by the roar of your own accomplishments. You cannot think your way to self-trust. You must act your way there. The war is won not in the realm of thought, but in the arena of action. Every single day is a battle. The moment you wake up, the traitor is there, whispering that you should stay in bed, that the day is too hard, that you're too tired. The first battle is to put your feet on the floor. That is the first victory. Win that battle. And then the next one, and the one after that. String enough of these small victories together, and you will win the war. Trusting your own strength is impossible as long as you are allied with the enemy within. It's time to choose a side. Are you with the traitor, or are you with the giant? Declare your allegiance and fight. You seem to believe that strength is something you are either born with or you are not. You look at people who are resilient, who are disciplined, who are courageous, and you think of them as a different species. You tell yourself they were gifted with something you were denied. This is the most debilitating lie you have ever told yourself, because it absolves you of the responsibility to become strong. Strength is not a gift. It is a forged weapon. It is a result. It is the outcome of a specific and often brutal process. And that process is available to every single one of us. That process is called adversity. You have been taught to avoid hardship at all costs. Your entire life has been a carefully constructed quest for comfort, for ease, for the path of least resistance. You see pain as a sign that something is wrong. You see struggle as an enemy to be defeated. You see failure as a final, shameful destination. And in doing so, you have robbed yourself of the very experiences that are designed to make you powerful. Hardship is the gymnasium of the soul. The challenges, the setbacks, the heartbreaks, these are not punishments. They're the weights. They are the resistance that is necessary to break down the weak muscle fibers of your character so they can grow back thicker, denser, and stronger. A life without adversity is a life of spiritual atrophy. It is a life spent on the couch, growing weaker, softer, and more fragile with each passing day. You are not weak because you were born weak. You are weak because you have chosen an easy life. You have chosen comfort over character. You have chosen safety over strength. And now you are paying the price. The price is a soul that is brittle, a spirit that is easily broken, a will that crumbles at the first sign of pressure. The forging process is not optional if you wish to become strong. You must be willing to step into the fire. The fire is the project you are afraid to start. The fire is the difficult conversation you have been avoiding. The fire is the physical challenge that seems impossible. You must voluntarily walk into the heat. You must be willing to be tested, to be bent, to be hammered on the anvil of reality. The person who is forged in the voluntary fires of their own choosing develops a different kind of strength than the person who is merely burned by the accidental fires of life. The victim is shaped by the fire, often into a shape of bitterness and fear. The warrior uses the fire to shape themselves into the weapon they choose to be. Pain is the great teacher. It is the feedback mechanism that tells you where you are weak, where you are attached, where you are living out of alignment with the truth. To run from pain is to run from the lesson. To numb the pain with distraction is to refuse the education. You must learn to sit in the fire of your own discomfort, to feel the burn, and to ask the question, what is this trying to teach me? Within every ounce of your pain is a pound of your potential strength. The failure that broke your heart holds the key to your future resilience. The rejection that humiliated you contains the blueprint for your future confidence. The struggle that brought you to your knees is the very thing that will teach you how to stand taller than you ever have before. So stop running from the fire. Stop praying for an easy life. An easy life will make you weak. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Pray for a challenge that is worthy of the sleeping giant within you. The forge is hot. The hammer is raised. The process of creating your own strength is not a gentle one. It is loud, it is violent, and it is painful. But the sword that emerges from that fire will be a sword that can cut through any obstacle, a sword that is worthy of a warrior. It will be you. How, precisely, do you begin to trust your own strength? Trust is not a belief you can simply decide to have. You cannot stand in front of the mirror and force yourself to trust yourself with affirmations alone. Trust is not a belief. It is a conclusion. It is a conclusion that is based on a mountain of irrefutable evidence. You do not trust a bridge because someone tells you it is safe. You trust it because you have evidence that it was built by a competent engineer with strong materials and has held the weight of thousands of cars before you. You must become the competent engineer of your own life. You must start to build a bridge of self-trust, one small, solid piece of evidence at a time. The process begins with making and keeping a single, small promise to yourself. Do not start with a grand, life-altering promise. The traitor of self-doubt is too strong for that right now. It will sabotage you. Start with a promise so small, so laughably easy, that you cannot possibly fail. Tomorrow morning, the moment my alarm goes off, I will put my feet on the floor. That's it. Not, I will run 5 miles. Not, I will conquer the world. Just, I will put my feet on the floor. And then, tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off and the voice of weakness begs you for 5 more minutes, you remember the promise. And you put your feet on the floor. In that moment, you have laid the first piece of steel in your bridge of self-trust. You have a piece of evidence. The evidence says, I am the kind of person who does what I say I will do. The next day, you make another small promise. Today, I will drink a glass of water before I drink my coffee. And you do it. Another piece of steel is laid. The evidence file grows. I will walk for 10 minutes at lunch. And you do it. I will read 1 page of a book before bed. And you do it. These are not impressive acts. No one will give you a medal for them. But they're the most important work you can possibly do. Because you're not just walking for 10 minutes. You're not just reading 1 page. You are rebuilding your relationship with yourself. You are proving to yourself, in the language of action, that you can be counted on. As you accumulate this evidence, you can begin to make slightly larger promises. I will go to the gym 3 times this week. And you do it. I will save a small percentage of my paycheck this month. And you do it. You're testing your bridge. You are adding more weight, and you're seeing that it holds. The trust is building, not based on hope, but on a track record. It's based on data, the data of your own integrity. You must also learn to trust your strength by putting yourself in situations where you have no choice but to rely on it. You must voluntarily take on challenges that force you to be resourceful, to be resilient, to be courageous. Sign up for the public speaking course that terrifies you. Commit to the project at work that no one else wants. Take the trip alone. By placing yourself in situations where there is no one to save you, where you have removed the safety nets, you will be forced to discover the strength you never knew you had. You will be forced to rely on the giant, and you will be astonished at what it is capable of. Trust is a feedback loop. You take a small action. You keep a small promise. This creates a small piece of evidence. This evidence gives you the confidence to take a slightly larger action, to keep a slightly larger promise. This creates more evidence. And the loop continues. a virtuous cycle of escalating integrity and escalating self-trust. Stop waiting for the feeling of trust to appear. You have to build it. You have to earn it from yourself. Start today. Make one small, non-negotiable promise to yourself. And then tomorrow, keep it. It is the most important appointment you will ever have. It is the first step on the bridge to a life where anything is achievable. Let me tell you a secret that the world does not want you to know. No one is coming. That's it. That's the secret. The cavalry ain't coming. There is no magical external force that is going to descend from the heavens and rescue you from your life. There is no mentor who will give you the perfect plan, no partner who will heal all your wounds, no government that will solve all your problems, no lucky break that will instantly transport you to your dreams. This fantasy, this deeply ingrained cultural myth of the Savior, is the most powerful tranquilizer ever administered to the human spirit. It keeps you passive. It keeps you waiting. It keeps you weak. It keeps you outsourcing the responsibility for your own life. To truly trust your own strength, you must perform a funeral for this fantasy. You must mourn the death of the idea that someone else is going to do the hard work for you. And you must accept the terrifying, liberating, and empowering truth that is left in its wake. You are on your own. Your life is your responsibility. 100%. The moment you fully accept this is the moment you graduate from being a child to being an adult. It is the moment you stop being a passenger in your own life and you take the driver's seat. It is the moment you reclaim your power. As long as you believe there is even a small chance that someone else will save you, you will always hold back a piece of your own effort. You will always keep a small reserve of energy, waiting for the reinforcement to arrive. You will never commit your entire being to the battle because you are still hoping you won't have to fight it alone. You must burn the ships. You must destroy any possibility of retreat, any hope of an easy way out. You must create a situation for yourself where your only option is to rely on your own strength, your own resourcefulness, your own courage. Your back must be against the wall, because it is only when your back is against the wall that you will discover the superhuman strength you never knew you had. It is only when you are forced to fight for your own survival that the sleeping giant within you will be fully and violently awakened. We live in a culture of blame, a culture of outsourcing responsibility. It is always someone else's fault. This is the mindset of the perpetual victim, the eternal child. It is a powerless and pathetic way to live. You must rebel against this. You must become an island of radical, personal responsibility in a sea of blame. When something goes wrong in your life, your first and only question must be, what was my role in this, and what am I going to do about it? This is the mindset of the creator, the sovereign, the adult. The cavalry ain't coming because the cavalry is you. You are the rescue team. You are the reinforcement. You are the one with the map, the tools, and the will to get yourself out of whatever hole you find yourself in. To wait for someone else is to betray the magnificent power that lies dormant within you. It is an insult to the giant. Stop looking at the sky, waiting for a hero. Look in the mirror. There they are. The person with the power to change everything. They may not look like much right now. They may be tired, beaten down, and full of doubt. But within them lies a strength that can move mountains. Your strength. Now, stop waiting and start rescuing yourself. The mission is yours and yours alone. As you begin to consistently trust and act from your own strength, a strange and wonderful transformation will occur. The world itself will seem to change. It is not the world that is changing, of course. It is you. You're changing the lens through which you view reality. And in doing so, you are changing the reality you experience. The world is a mirror. It does not give you what you want. It reflects back to you who you are. When you are operating from a place of weakness, of self-doubt, of waiting for a savior, the world reflects that back to you. It presents you with obstacles that seem insurmountable. It sends you people who take advantage of your passivity. It confirms your belief that you are a victim of circumstance. Your external world becomes a perfect match for your internal state of helplessness. But when you begin to operate from a place of internal strength, of self-trust, of radical responsibility, the mirror begins to reflect a different image. The world starts to present you with opportunities, not obstacles. The challenges that once seemed terrifying now look like exciting tests of your growing power. The people who are drawn into your life are no longer predators seeking a victim, but allies and equals who are attracted to your strength and your energy. Your reality begins to reorganize itself around your new identity. This is not magic. This is the physics of consciousness. Your internal state, your dominant beliefs, your focus, your energy is a vibrational signal that you're constantly broadcasting to the universe. And the universe, like a faithful mirror, can only reflect back to you a reality that is in vibrational harmony with your signal. To try to change your external world without first changing your internal world is like trying to change a reflection by yelling at the mirror. It is a foolish and futile exercise. You must change the object in front of the mirror. You must change you. The person who trusts their own strength walks through the world differently. They carry themselves with a quiet confidence that is not arrogant, but deeply centered. They do not seek validation, so they are not thrown off course by criticism. They do not fear failure, so they are free to take bold and courageous action. They are not trying to get something from the world. They're bringing something to the world, their strength, their vision, their purpose. And the world responds in kind. It opens doors. It presents synchronicities. It conspires to help the person who is already helping themselves. You must stop seeing yourself as being at the mercy of the world. You are a co-creator with the world. Your strength is the creative energy you bring to the partnership. The more you trust it, the more you use it, the more powerful a creator you become. Your life ceases to be a series of random events and becomes a coherent and beautiful story, a story that you are consciously and deliberately writing with the ink of your own character. Look at your life right now. It is a perfect reflection of your current level of self-trust. If you do not like what you see, do not waste your time trying to fix the reflection. Turn away from the mirror and get to work on the object. Get to work on building your resilience, your integrity, your vision, your discipline. As you become stronger on the inside, your world will, as if by magic, become more beautiful, more abundant, and more empowering on the outside. That is the law. That is the promise. When you truly, deeply, and unconditionally trust your own strength, you unlock the second half of the great promise. Anything is achievable. This is not a motivational platitude. It is a statement of operational reality for a person who has done the deep work of forging their own character. The limits you currently perceive in your life are not real. They are not features of the external world. They're the self-imposed boundaries of your own lack of self-trust. They're the walls of the cage you have built with the bricks of your own doubt. When you dissolve the doubt, the walls dissolve with it. When you trust your own strength, you begin to see that the concept of impossible is just an opinion. It is the opinion of the tired, the timid, and the cynical. It is the collective belief system of the caretakers who are dedicated to keeping their giants asleep. But it is not a fact. It is not a law of physics. It is just a story, and you're no longer required to believe it. A person who trusts their own strength approaches a goal differently. The average person looks at a great goal and immediately asks, "Can I do it?" Their first move is to assess their current resources against the size of the challenge. And because the challenge is always bigger than their current state, the answer is usually no, and so they never begin. The person who trusts their own strength looks at a great goal and asks a different question. How can I do it? This is a profoundly different starting point. The first question is a question of judgment. The second is a question of strategy. The first is a closed door. The second is an open-ended puzzle. The person who trusts their own strength knows that their current resources are irrelevant. They trust not in what they have, but in their ability to acquire what they need. They trust in their resilience to handle the setbacks. They trust in their creativity to find the solutions. They trust in their discipline to do the work. They are not defined by their current state. They're defined by their capacity to grow. And because their capacity to grow is infinite, no goal is fundamentally out of reach. It is simply a matter of time, of strategy, and of will. When you operate from this place, your vision expands. The goals that once seemed like distant fantasies now start to look like logical, achievable projects. You stop dreaming of climbing the hill and you start drawing up the plans to conquer Mount Everest. Your sense of what is possible for your life undergoes a radical and permanent expansion. You are no longer playing the game of what can I realistically get. You are now playing the game of what do I truly want to create. This is the freedom that comes from deep self-trust. It is the freedom to design a life that is a true reflection of your highest values and your most audacious dreams, not a life that is a compromise based on your fears and your perceived limitations. Anything is achievable because you understand that you have the strength to pay any price, to endure any hardship, to learn any skill, and to work for any length of time that the achievement requires. The variable is no longer your capability. The only variable is your level of commitment. Are you willing to do what it takes for as long as it takes? For the person who trusts their strength, the answer is always yes. So what is it that you want? What do you really want? Be honest. Let the giant speak. Let the dream that you have kept locked in the basement of your heart finally come out into the light. Do not censor it. Do not judge it. Do not shrink it to a realistic size. See it in its full, terrifying, and magnificent glory. And know this, if you can see it in your mind, and if you are willing to do the sacred and difficult work of trusting your own strength, you can hold it in your hand. Anything is achievable. You have come to the end of the journey of understanding, and you stand at the beginning of the journey of becoming. The final integration of this philosophy is to cease seeing your strength as something you have, and to realize that it is what you are. It is not a tool you wield. It is the very material from which you are made. It is not a resource you tap into. It is the core of your being. This is the shift from doing to being. You are no longer a person who is trying to be strong. You are a strong person. You are no longer a person who is trying to be disciplined. You are a disciplined person. It is your nature. It is your identity. The unbreakable core. This is the final destination. It is a state of being where self-trust is no longer a conscious practice, but an automatic, unconscious reality. It is your default setting. You are so deeply rooted in the knowledge of your own resilience, integrity, vision, and discipline that you no longer question it. It is as natural to you as breathing. From this place, you move through the world with a new kind of grace, a quiet, centered, and unshakable power. You're no longer striving. You're simply being. Your actions flow effortlessly from your nature. You do the right thing not because you're forcing yourself to, but because it is the only thing that a person like you could do. You face challenges with a calm and steady heart, not because you are suppressing your fear, but because your trust in yourself is so much greater than any fear you could possibly feel. You have become the mountain. The storms of life will still come. The winds of change will still blow. The seasons of joy and sorrow will still turn. But you remain solid, grounded, unmovable. Your sense of self is no longer tied to the fleeting conditions of the external world. It is anchored in the eternal bedrock of your own forged character. This is true freedom. It is not the freedom to do whatever you want. It is the freedom to be who you truly are, without apology, without hesitation, and without the need for anyone's permission. It is the peace that comes from the perfect alignment of your actions with your values, of your life with your soul. This is the person you were always meant to be. The sleeping giant is now fully awake, and you have become one with it. Its strength is your strength. Its vision is your vision. Its unbreakable will is your will. You're no longer just the caretaker. You are the conscious, living embodiment of your own deepest potential. This is a lifelong journey, a continuous process of deepening and refinement. But the decision, the fundamental shift in identity happens in an instant. It is the moment you decide to stop trying and start being. It is the moment you stop looking for your strength and start living from it. It is the moment you look in the mirror and you see not a person who is flawed and struggling, but a warrior, a creator, a force of nature. A person you deeply, profoundly, and unconditionally trust. Make that decision now. Claim that identity. Stop waiting to be worthy of it. You become worthy of it by claiming it, and then living in accordance with that claim. The power has been in you all along. The strength has been waiting. The giant has been sleeping. Trust it. Trust yourself. And go forward from this day, not as someone who is hoping to achieve something, but as someone who is inherently, undeniably, and magnificently achievable.